Rajan, Tom Hitchcock, how are you?
Very good, Tom. How are you going?
I'm pretty good as well. Pretty good as well. We just toasted each other. I think we toasted coffee to tea just then.
There we
Um,
did.
but your tea, it looked purple at first glance from my bias.
Oh, it's coffee, black coffee.
Ah, there we are. Okay, well
Must be a reflection.
that's a pretty healthy option there to kickstart your day.
I'm trying.
I suppose it's still in that period of New Year's resolution.
Yes.
Um, Um, I used to publish an article every New Year saying how the average lifespan of a New Year's resolution is, and it's
Yeah.
very short, obviously. But if you do it just before New Year and don't tag it onto that like everyone else does, it actually lasts a lot longer. There's
All
quite an
right.
interesting science behind that, but I didn't
We'll
make
try
any
that the
this year.
next year.
Yeah, yeah, no resolutions made this time. I think I've worked hard enough on any positive change. I don't need to add any more to it just because we passed the sun,
Yeah.
done another cycle. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm keen to hear your story and have a conversation with you today. But am I right in thinking you was at the Open yesterday?
Oh, yeah, the Oz Open. I couldn't get to it. Yeah, there were a few of my colleagues that were there, and I got held back because I have these back issues that come up and on. So, yeah, it was just that. Yeah.
That's well, sorry to bring that up then. That's
Yeah.
sore subject.
I'm still following all the matches and quite sad that Dimino lost last night, but it was still a good game.
Yeah, yeah, fair play. So, let's jump straight into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself and what you feel people should know about who you are.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Rajan, and I'm currently the CEO of Sunnypine Home Care. It's a NDIS provider here in Melbourne. Sort of our focus area within Melbourne is towards the northwest and west of Melbourne. We're not a large provider, so we've got just about 100 staff and about 50 clients that we support. Predominantly, we are in the SIL space, supported independent living. We've been here for about 5 years now, and we've been organically just growing our footprint around this area. Currently expanding towards the northeast side of Melbourne as well. That's far as work is concerned. Myself personally, I've been working for quite a number of years, Tom. So a couple of decades working in the corporate world. So I worked for an American multinational for almost 20 years in a lot of national roles, but regional as well as global roles. Decided to go for a change in career. It was me and my wife, both of us, and we wanted to focus more on community type organizations. So we made that career change as we also moved to Australia. At that point of time, it was really a good timing to do all at one go, and that's how my sort of career in this area started. We started at the somewhat at the bottom at a lot of the uh, field work kind of thing, and just slightly over time, over 15 years, just grew ourselves into a career and into what role that I do currently at Sunnypine Home Care.
Okay, all right. So, if I'm hearing correctly, there's two big leaps of faith that you've taken of
Yeah.
note, which I think people wherever they are in the world may relate to or they may be considering doing. Okay. One is changing countries, changing where you call home, which is a massive deal, in all fairness, but also shifting careers, coming out of the comfort zone, excuse me, the comfort zone of a corporate role into being an entrepreneur. And both of those are, in my mind, are equally daunting and come with equal risk. Um, would you say they're the two big leaps of faith that you've made?
Oh, absolutely. There are probably a number of things that we've done, quite drastic changes in our life, but absolutely those two are the biggest changes. And I think over time, those changes define you as well.
Hmm. Which one scared you the most?
Well, I think it was definitely the one moving countries.
Okay.
Yeah, that was huge for us. Do you want me to go a bit inside into it?
Yeah, absolutely. But whatever you want
Yeah.
to share, mate, is you're in control, essentially.
So, so we were actually at the peak of our career. My career was at the peak in the corporate world, and there was still something that I felt that I needed to do more, and I was not achieving it. From a finance point of view, we were very comfortable, but I think from a satisfaction point of view of what we achieved and all that, I think it was a bit not there. So we decided to quit our jobs, and because we had a chance to also travel around, because of our previous job in corporate, we knew where we wanted to go pretty much. So moving countries, we had young kids. My daughter was 7 and my son was 2, and we moved without jobs. So it was a very big risk for us
Mm.
to move from something that was quite stable and really doing well into nothing really, and just depending on savings and trying to make a life. But we were very keen to make that move and do that change. Now, in Intel, as you know, Intel Corporation is the organization that I was working for before. And we used to have turnaround every 6 months. So rapid change. And I thought, I'd been through enough change to be able to manage this really well. But no, I think still moving country was the toughest for me because it really challenged me in so many ways in terms of ego was the first thing because I've worked my way up to a certain level and then coming back here, going into a new industry and community, you're starting back in the bottom so that you can really learn it is a huge hit. Personally for me, but I was willing to do it because it's really something I wanted to pick up on. And I think it was the right thing for me because I think sometimes in my life, my ego needs to be challenged. And so that it gets me to a position where that I feel a little bit more humble. And I find that when I'm in that position, I'm more responsive to the world, to the people around me, and so on. So it was a good wake up call for me. So going through it was challenging, but looking back at it, I think it was absolutely the right thing and the right thing to do for me. Um, and that's how we grew. I started working did a bit of consulting work, worked for a council for a long time, and then got this job with the NDIA. So I worked for the federal government for, for about 4 years before I came out and into the NDIS provider space. I've been in the NDIS provider space for about 6, 7 years now. So it's quite a number of years, but gradually making my name and slowly moving up the ladder and getting to where I am. So it was a journey. It was a difficult one, but it's all worth it. And honestly, I'm very satisfied. I think the thing that I was missing when I left corporate world, I think I found it. And so that satisfaction is there. So, all those challenges that you've gone through makes, it doesn't mean anything after, getting to where I have in terms of personal satisfaction.
Well, we'll hold that thought because I think we'll come back to that one for sure. I think
Yeah.
we're meandering that way. But just sort of moving back to your shift, I concur with you that to sort of self humble
Yeah.
is as a recalibration tool is important because we can get institutionalized, we can get intoxicated by station, and we can get comfortable, which means it's we stop learning, we stop
Yeah.
growing. When we hit the routine and we work at almost every day's on autopilot, because it isn't without challenges, but we're good at what we do because
Yeah.
we've qualified, we've earned our stripes. So
Absolutely right.
I've experienced something myself like that, and it was so good for me as an individual, just going right down to the bottom again. Let's roll the sleeves up. Let's know nothing. Let's mess this up. Let's be uncomfortable. And I think there's a lot to be said for people volunteering themselves to be put in that situation. So I suppose anybody listening to this that is on the cusp of making that type of decision on that, I'd probably encourage them. There's nothing but good that can come out of it, whatever the scenario.
Yeah. It's tough, but I think it's a defining moment. It's a challenging moment, but it really unpicks everything about you. There are many times my wife and I had conversations about, was this the right thing to do? Should we go back? And those kind of things continue to happen because the challenges are, it's just one after the other. But I
Bless
think
her.
we kept on it, and one of the things we did, Tom, is we knew that if we had come and there was challenges, we would return, and we didn't want that plan B. So what
Mm,
we did is we sold everything back home, so no property, nothing, right? And we moved. So there was not going to be an option of moving back
yeah,
if you ever wanted to. So that was it. First time in my life, no plan B. And so we had to make it work. And we knew that we had enough experience in our life to make it work, but we just didn't know what the challenges were going to be. You can only plan for what you think you know, but there's a lot of things that you don't know about that you can't plan for, and you just got to face it as you go along. And those are where the learnings were.
yeah,
But
and I
in
think
that journey, we met so many great people,
mm,
just so many great people who uplifted us. And I think they also showed us what real meaning of life was and how is it to really care about others. And, these are people who didn't have to do what they did, right? I mean, they spared a lot of their time, so that you could have a better journey while you were in Australia. It was our neighbors, it was a lot of friends, people, strangers that we don't know of, that had so much insights into our journey, and helped us through the journey. And until today, we are in touch with some of them, and we aspire to try to be like them in so many ways, because that's what we found was really missing the first time around.
I think the common denominator word there is motivation because, firstly, with the plan B, it's a reverse motivation. It's something there to remind you, well, we don't want to activate a plan B,
Yeah,
make it hard as possible to go to a plan B, so that it keeps us on that plan A and make sure that plan A works. Then you got the motivations of people that have helped you without justification. So there's a lesson there as to, well, you don't need to do this. We don't necessarily know you well,
yeah,
and then obviously you've got your motivations as to why you wanted to sort of pull yourself out of the matrix, if you like, of the
yeah.
corporate sphere and take that leap of faith. Um, okay, all right. So actually, I do want to ask one other thing as well. Just out of curiosity, this is for the parents out here. So you said your daughter at the time was 6 years old.
Yeah, she was 7. Yeah.
7, okay. Was she at that point where she had an opinion? She had some input? "No, Dad, I don't wanna go. I'm happy where I am. I like my friends," or was it, "I'm really excited. I wanna go and see some kangaroos."
Well, they do have opinions. Kids these days, the younger they are, the quicker they get to have an opinion. So she did, but I also think kids, as opposed to parents, are a little bit more open to change than we were.
Yeah,
So it was at that time back home where she was just going into primary school and she just had finished kindy. So she was going to undergo a change anyway, and so we thought maybe that timing was good. She could start primary here, and so on. But so she did, but they were willing to go through. I mean, my daughter was willing to take that chance. And to be honest, I think our kids actually, the transition of our kids, or what you call the adjustment, was a lot probably smoother than we did. I think we think as adults, we think too much. Their mind is a bit more simple,
yeah.
so the adjustment was pretty quick. So we were quite quite fascinated by that. And one other thing that reminded us that that's what happened, because about a year or so after we went back home, we decided to go back, see family for about a month, and we took some time off for about a month. And after the first week, kids were asking us like, okay, when are we going back home? So it clicked on to us that they recognize home here in Australia, not anymore in Malaysia, you know.
That's interesting. That's very interesting, and I think there's lessons we can take from our kids that how agile they are and how open they are to change. You know, they're at that stage now where their executive function and rationality isn't fully developed. So everything they soak everything up. It's like a sponge, or what have you. But they're in this really good state that we've grown out of. We've
Yeah,
calcified. You know,
right.
and I think it's a beautiful situation when we can learn from observing our own kids you know,
100%.
because most of the time it's the other way around. We're saying, don't do this, you should do this, you should aspire to do that, da 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 da. It's nice to have it the other way round.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right.
So, okay, so we've settled in Australia. It's now home. Your plan A is plan Australia. Um, and then you were caught in this bubble of the NDIS. It entrapped you like it did with myself. Okay. Tell me how you stepped in and couldn't get back out again.
Was easy. So we knew that community was the area that we wanted to go, but not specifically disability. We were not sure at the time. We didn't have any insights into the NDIS. This was around 2012 when the NDIS was just getting into Parliament to be approved and so on. We didn't know what that was. When I was working in council, a good friend of mine, that I worked very closely with, he was visually impaired. And so we used to enjoy a lot of lunch conversations, and he always used to talk about NDIS. And so that actually got me very excited because he was sort of my guru to the NDIS. He was telling how it came about, why it's there, and why people are so excited about it. And he got me really excited as well. And so that's how the journey started. And then I thought, maybe this is an area that I want to get into. And so I applied for the NDIN. We were in Adelaide at that time, and the jobs were essentially in Melbourne. They were in Geelong, really, where the headquarters was. So I'd applied for a few roles in that area, and I was lucky to secure one. And I thought, this is going to be it. I'm gonna we're gonna pursue this and see where that takes us. So it was an exciting journey from then on, moving to Melbourne, taking up that role, working in the NDIA for the number of years I did, and really getting an insight to what we were doing for people with disability. And, the scheme, theoretically, it's such a good scheme. It's such a wonderful scheme from what we ever had before, what other countries have. And so it's so amazing to be part of it. And I came across a lot of great people, who were in the NDIA who had worked on this for a long time. And, a lot of people who are so passionate about, you know, helping people with disability. So I felt like I was in the right spot. I felt very comfortable. I felt that there was so much, I was in sync in terms of what I wanted to do in life, plus also, the people that I was mingling with, and we all had the same purpose. So it was really a important moment for me
I was
that
waiting for
defined
the
my
word.
pathway.
I was waiting for the word to come up there, and you said it in the end. Purpose. That was the one.
Yeah.
That's where it's going to. So it sounds, and just listening to the changed tone of voice slightly as well. It feels like you found your calling.
Yeah. I absolutely think I have, and I'm very happy to be honest, Tom. Very, very happy with what I've personally, me and my wife, we've achieved in our careers, in the journey, the risk that we have taken, the changes that we have made. When you're going through those things, you don't know what's in front of you. You don't know whether you're going to succeed, you're going to fail, whatever is going to happen. But nevertheless, it's important to take those steps, this leap of faith. It's got us to where we want to because we are very determined, to seek that truth, for us. And when we have achieved this, it's really enlightening, in so many ways. Like I'm happy doing what I'm doing, right? And
Mm.
I continue to look forward to do this. And the biggest kick I get off my job, it's not being a CEO and telling people, this is what we're going to do. It's just going and visiting our clients in the sales, or whether some of the clients that we support in the SRS, and just seeing the transformation that's taking place.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
love
and
that.
I, and that's the amazing part of this job.
Okay, well, this you mentioned earlier, and quite rightly so. The NDIS is a wonderful scheme. When we look at it on a global scale, it's unique. It makes you wonder how we got by before without it. Um, However, it's not without its learnings and flaws. Okay, and it's probably not due to the NDIS itself. It's probably due to opportunistic providers, which that they give it a bad name sometimes when people come in and they take advantage of the vulnerable, whereas it's there designed to protect the vulnerable. So it can be a double-edged sword. So I find that side of it interesting, but you're in a space that's quite populous. Okay,
Mm.
so for those people that don't know the NDIS, the still space of supported independent living, there's lots of providers out there. So with that in mind, as with any business in a competitive space, you need to make sure that you stand out. Okay, and especially don't not get confused with those that maybe
Yeah,
tarnish it as well. Okay,
yeah,
what is it that makes you and your business unique compared to the others in that busy space?
yeah. That's a loaded question.
It is, sorry about that. I've realised when I was saying it, I couldn't stop myself.
Yeah, yeah. But let me try to start from the start, really. So there was a few things when I took this role as well, and that was really important to me that I had to get sort of aligned with business owners and so on. The first thing was that we wouldn't have numbers or dollars as our targets for every year. We will have organic growth. The first couple of years would focus on building infrastructure and foundation of the organization and making sure that we put a very sustainable foundation so that we can organically grow. And so there was a number of things that were really important to me, and I learned a lot of this because of my corporate world, and a lot of the work that I did in corporate was around dysfunctional team business units as well as organizational restructure and transformation. And so taking some of those learnings, that's what I really wanted to really set those foundation and get that alignment for my business owners up front itself. And that alignment was there that allows us to pave the way. To be honest, I know there's a lot of SIL providers, and I know there are a lot. There not a lot, but there are some who are not doing the right thing by the NDIs or by the client. I don't necessarily look at competing with them, to be honest. I'm looking for people that I can partner with. Right. And the reason is because if I were to look at holistic supports for any of our clients, we can't do it on our own, just doing SIL. We need to partner with, allied health providers and all that. So that partnerships continues to go. The other thing is when we defined the model for the SIL and how we wanted to operate, yes, we did look at one or two other SILs. We looked at the practice standards and so on, but we sort of crafted what we thought would be the ideal SIL. So we didn't do too much of a benchmark because we didn't know who was doing the right thing and who was not,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And we said that once we put that in place, that model in place, we'll continue to improve it over time, and that's what we did. So today, the way that we grow, a lot of our clients come to us by word of mouth. We're not heavily advertising. And even if we do advertise and if a lot of people were to walk by our door, I don't think we don't have the right kind of resource and staffing to transition everyone quickly. And the word transition is a very important word for Sunny Pine Home Care. We don't do a pick and drop sort of a thing, and transition is important because that's when change really
Mm.
sticks. So, and in order to do that right, and each client's quite different, we need to do it gradually. We need to do it, in a very informed way. So we don't. So the organic growth that we have experienced is really through the word of mouth to people who are knowing us. And one of the things that we do very openly when we meet with any potential or any prospect is we ask them to come visit us. And we don't even prepare for the visits. I say you can choose any of the SILs, and all we need to do is just ask the clients there whether they are happy to have a visitor come in and see them, because it's rightfully their residence. And if they are, then you could go visit, and you look at you make a call as to what is happening and how we're doing how we're providing our services and supports, and what you like or don't like, and you make up your mind that way. So we don't necessarily advertise that we're great at this, we do this and all that. We know what we are good at. We know that we are not the best. We know that we always endeavor to get better at what we're doing, and we will, right? But that's really how it is. So competition is there, but it's not the thing that keeps us awake. We want to make sure that at the end of the day, if a client walks through our doors, that we do our best to see whether we can support them. And if we can't, then we're upfront with it as well, and make sure the supports are transitional. And so that when they actually stay with us, it's a more pleasant journey for them as much as it is for us as well.
Well, I think that in itself is what will define you, because you're probably aware now you're a few years into it that that is different to the majority. Okay. And for that reason, the word of mouth will be positive because word of mouth is the best advertiser if you're doing the right thing. If you're not, it's not. You need to
Absolutely.
advertise pretty hard to go and find someone who hasn't heard of you. And it's a bit like having an open plan kitchen in a restaurant, isn't it? You can see how things are. It's there, and you've got that transparency and vulnerability to, okay, this may be us at our worst, but if you never know what day they're going to walk in. I think that's brilliant. So moving forward, as we wrap up, then, do you have any plans in the future that you want to hold yourself accountable for on this episode?
Um, the, Obviously, from a career point of view, and I think from a personal point of view as well. Let me start with the career. I think that probably is a little bit more easier. There's We are in the NDI space. A tremendous change that's happening. So navigating through the changes is going to be quite a big challenge. I think one of the great things about my leadership team is uh, we're quite flexible. I mean, if you talk to any of us, we've got a job title, but we seem to be doing a bit of everything here and there. So we're kind of agile in that sense. And I think that level of flexibility and agility within an organization is critical. And I look for more people who are willing to work that way so that can help us grow this organization, because there's so much we can plan for, but there's so much that's going to hit us that we don't know what that is until it does. And I think that's really what's exciting me. I like these challenges, and I'm happy to take those challenges head on. But also making sure we have the right kind of people within the organization to help us maneuver through those challenges is going to be really important this year. So that's what I'm looking forward in terms of career. From a personal point of view, uh, I really I was thinking about this coming to 2026, and I think I've worked hard, really, really hard for about 40 years of my life. And I think I've come to a time where I need to stop thinking about the next thing, the next thing, and the next thing, and start really reflecting and enjoying a bit of what we have today and where we've got today, whether as a family or from a career point of view. And I think that's really important because I don't want it to be too late. And I think the messaging was like, my daughter had just finished uni and she's into a job. My son just finished year 12, he's VC, and he's looking at getting into university. So the kids are growing very quickly. They're going to have their own thing, and they're not looking at they might not look at doing things together with me and my wife in the future. So we've got a little bit of time where we still can spend time together. And I think I want to really, capitalize on that.
I'm going to be honest with you, Rajan. That sounds a lot like a New Year's resolution.
Well, ask me at the end of the year whether I've achieved it. Yeah.
Let's just say you've made it very early for next year. Okay. All right. Well, that takes us to a wrap now. So thanks a lot for your time. Appreciated the conversation and the openness. Anybody listening to this that'd like to reach out to you on any of the topics that you've covered, what would be the best route for them to make contact, Rajan?
My email, obviously, that would be the best. So
Okay.
it's rajand@sunnypine.com.au.
Fantastic. Well, when we publish this, maybe stick it in the comments below, maybe your LinkedIn as well, whatever works for you. So then it relates. And yeah, as I said, thanks a lot for your time. I enjoyed that.
Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you for the time as well.
Hello again. I am Mr. Purple. Thanks again for watching this video. If you like my videos, if you like what we try to do here, please subscribe if you haven't done it already. The other thing that's very popular right now is the t-shirts, the Mr. Purple t-shirts. There's lots of people wearing these at the moment. You can grab yours on our website, copying this link below. So once again, thanks for listening. We love your feedback. Engage with us and speak soon.